the silent valley of the second sun. By the time the second sun appeared, nobody remembered how the first one had been born. It rose one morning beside the true sun, smaller, redder, and humming in a voice too low for machines to translate. People in the northern continent stared into it until their eyes watered and said it looked less like a star and more like a wound that had forgotten how to close. Governments called it a mirror anomaly. Scientists called it a reflected singularity. Priests called it a promise. But the world called it simply the other sun. For months it hung unmoving above the Pacific, painting the clouds with copper and the oceans with restless light. Plants began to grow faster on the coasts. Children dreamed of landscapes no telescope could find. And every seventh night, the tides rose without wind. Dr. Naila Rohn, a field geophysicist who had spent her career mapping dead volcanoes, was sent to a valley in Central Asia where instruments kept failing. The locals called the place Karash, which meant the Silent Valley, though she could hear it before she arrived, a constant vibration underfoot, a deep note like a prayer made of stone. When she reached the valley floor, she saw that the soil had turned black and glassy, as if burned from below, and the trees had grown into perfect circles facing inward. In the middle stood a lake no map had ever shown, perfectly round, its surface rippling even when the air was still. At sunset, the second sun reflected in the lake, and the reflection looked larger than the real one, pulsing like a heart. Naila set up her sensors, but they died instantly, screens blooming with static that formed symbols, spirals, eyes, and what looked disturbingly like vertebrae. That night she camped on the ridge, unable to sleep as the hum grew louder, resolving into something that almost resembled breathing. Her recorder captured whispers in 100 languages layered together, all saying the same thing: "We are home." The next day she found that every compass pointed toward the lake, even when she turned them upside down. The magnetic field bent inward. The air shimmered with heat, though the temperature was freezing. She took a sample of the soil and found strands of metallic fiber inside it, organic, almost alive. Under her microscope, the fibers twisted toward the light as if trying to see her. By the third night, the valley's sound was so strong that she could feel it in her teeth. The second sun brightened until shadows split into two. She recorded another whisper, this one clear and near. "You are standing on our mouth." Terrified, she climbed toward the ridge, but the ground moved beneath her, slow waves in the earth itself, and she fell, sliding down into the black glass until her hand struck something warm. Beneath the surface was a smooth, curved shape like bone the size of a building. She brushed the dust away and saw veins of red light running through it, pulsing in time with the second sun. It was alive. A deep voice echoed through the soil. "We are waking. You kept our blood in your core and called it fuel." The valley split open. The lake boiled with red light, and from it rose forms that defied shape, tall silhouettes made of mist and memory, their edges crawling with fireflies of energy. They moved slowly, reverently, as if testing gravity for the first time. Naila felt herself lifted by the vibration alone, her heart sinking to a rhythm that wasn't hers. The creatures didn't speak with mouths. The air around them sang. Through that song came words inside her bones. "We came before light had a color. You buried us in fire. We were your beginning." She tried to run, but her body wouldn't obey. The ground itself had become soft, breathing like skin. The beings reached toward her, not to harm, but to connect. One touched her shoulder, and her mind filled with visions. Oceans made of glass, forests that stretched into the stars, and a planet alive and thinking, dreaming of its children who forgot how to listen. "You grew from us," the voice said, "but you built walls between your heartbeats and ours. The second sun is the first seed, calling the rest to wake." The world above noticed the change too late. Reports came from every continent, rivers reversing course, mountains splitting to reveal light beneath, the oceans glowing red at night. The second sun doubled in brightness, and a faint humming could be heard even in the deepest bunkers. In the cities, electronics failed as people began to see strange shapes moving behind reflections, hands pressed against glass from the inside. The stars shifted position, forming spirals that matched the symbols carved into the black soil of Karash. The scientists, still alive, argued that the second sun was no celestial body, but a window, a mouth in the sky where something vast was breathing through reality. Nyla remained in the valley, half in awe, half in surrender. She had stopped sending transmissions. Satellites recorded her voice repeating a single phrase in a calm tone. It's not the end. It's the memory waking up. On the final day, the second sun descended. It did not fall. It folded like a wound closing in reverse. The valley opened wider than mountains, revealing a chamber of red light and the remains of colossal forms curled around one another, skeletons that looked half mineral, half divine. The beings who had risen from the lake bowed toward them, their bodies dissolving into rain. Nyla felt herself pulled toward the light, her bones humming with the same rhythm as the valley. "You will remember for us," the voice said. "You will carry the sound when we sleep again." She closed her eyes, whispering back, "I will." The light consumed everything. When explorers reached Karash years later, they found no sign of the lake, only a crater filled with glass flowers that glowed faintly in the dark. The soil pulsed every 12 hours like a heartbeat. Satellites above the region failed without explanation, and the area became forbidden. Yet travelers still report hearing soft humming through the stones, especially when the two suns, one real, one lingering, align for a moment at dusk. Some say if you press your ear to the ground, you can still hear her voice, woven into the pulse of the planet, whispering in every language at once. The earth was never ours. We were always its dream, and beneath the silent valley, the heartbeat goes on, slow, patient, waiting for the next sun to open its eye.